This video contains spoilers from Chapter 1, Obsidian Inception, featuring Transcendent Jestel and both Jestel and Transcendent Jestel's journals. What happens when you run off to beat the bad guy who killed your family, only to find out your family was just as bad? Jestel is the sole surviving member of the Aegis family. We first meet her imprisoned inside of Bathory Castle, where she tells Noah Nevernight that Baphomet had performed experiments on her whole family. But before we explore too deeply into Jestel, we need to understand what the Aegis family stood for, especially their former matriarch, the most revered and loyal Bathory elder, Valora Aegis. The Aegis are a branch of the Bathory, and they're known for their militaristic Amazonian strength. Valora was considered the most loyal knight to the Bathory. Mythologically, the name Aegis refers to the shield of the Greek goddess of war, Athena. Unlike her brother Ares, who was known for his bloodlust and warfare, Athena preferred a diplomatic approach. While Valora was reasonable and able to consider whether there was intent of malice before punishing transgressions, Elder Baphomet was quick to take up arms and look for any reason to go to war. Baphomet wanted the power of the volcano scourge, so he got Valora to dispatch the Aegis family to kill every member of the Lisk, or so they think. And Valora absorbed the power of the volcano into her body. During their final sweep for survivors, one of the Aegis warriors, Kara, finds an egg. Valora permits her to keep it. About 30-40 years pass, and Valora's constitution is degrading. She knows that her body is unable to contain the volcano much longer. Baphomet, sensing how weak she's become, kills her. With her last words, she tells him that he won't succeed in claiming the volcano for himself. At her death, the volcano's power returns to the egg Kara picked up, and it begins to hatch. Inside is Jestel. Kara kept the truth from Jestel and raised her as her own daughter. However, Jestel always suspected that there was something different about her. The other kids didn't want to play with her, and if they did, they would push and shove her. While Jestel isn't inherently malicious, she fought back and hurt the other kids, though she didn't always understand why she had that reflex. To make things more confusing, she also heard an intrusive voice in her head saying that she didn't need the other kids, they were weak, and she was better than all of them. A physician psychologist, Pierre Janet, proposed that when a person goes through extreme distress, their consciousness can actually split, though in Jestel's case, this manifests as a rejection of a part of herself. She pushes the voice away and continues trying to live her life as an Aegis, not knowing that they slaughtered her real family. At the very least, she had Kara, who did love her, and her father gifted her the shield that she still carries around. Her father also used to tell her the story of how when the four Moonblessed come together, they will all be able to go back to their ancestral home. Despite the story of the Moonblessed being the main plot of the story, most Bloodborne still dismissed it as a fairy tale. Jestel grew older, and we get flashbacks of where she was detained and threatened with execution by the Aegis. She blocked it out, so we don't really know what led her there, but she left the Aegis land shortly after. All these years without Valora, the Aegis family continued to degrade in its numbers. Then, they hear that the Bathory have found this treasure. Enticed, the Aegis began to head to the castle, but Kara and Valora's subordinate, Donna, have a feeling something's wrong. Jestel's father headed off to the castle a while ago and never came back. The two went to investigate. Jestel knew that her family was gone, but under the impression that Baphomet had conducted experiments on all of them. In a way, he did, though not fully in the way she believed. When she arrived back in her childhood home to rescue Noah, the strange voice comes back. The strange voice always stayed on this land rather than follow Jestel out. It had its own experiences and memories, independent of Jestel's. She learns that what really happened is that Baphomet was turning the Aegis family into obsidian to claim their powers for his armor. Obsidian is made when lava cools quickly after a volcanic eruption and doesn't have enough time to crystallize into rock, so it's more like glass. In Mesoamerica, it represented martial power and warriors, which is what the Aegis family is known for. They stole the volcano from the Lisk family, only to be erupted into obsidian themselves. That's some poetic justice. But Noah is still in trouble. Jestel always believed herself a coward for not doing anything when her family was killed. She sat pathetically in Baphomet's cell doing nothing except retelling herself that moon-blessed story from her father. The voice asks if she's really going to let her friends die here. She's refused this volcanic scourge since her childhood, and if there's any time to merge, it's now. And finally, she does. The consciousness she split off from is back, and she can now wield the full power of the Scourge volcano. She defeats Baphomet and saves Noah, but at what cost? When we first met Jestel, she was fueled by revenge because of Baphomet destroying the Aegis, yet now she realizes why she was so different, why she was so hated by them. She didn't have a single drop of Aegis blood. She knows why the Aegis did it, but is the explanation of the Bathory wanted the power of the volcano actually satisfying? Why did her parents never say anything to her? That's the tragedy of Jestel. She'll never have the opportunity to get those answers. The family she was so hell-bent on avenging were the ones who killed her real family. All Jestel has left in the world is the shield that her father gave her. The front grants you courage to face your enemies. The back conceals the fears in your heart. Perhaps this is why a shield has two sides. And so they had told me all along, standing behind a shield, facing your fears, is embracing courage. The developers did give Jestel a piece of love here. There's a story that Athena threw the dragon Draco into the sky, which is coiled protectively around the constellation Ursa Minor, also known as Little Bear. The List family was represented by the bear. Jestel, as Draco, is holding the bear, which is the remnants of the Lisk. The world sees the shield, the Aegis, but her courage came from the Lisk. Though, as she stands in the observatory, watching the stars alongside Noah, she doesn't see these constellations. However, when the Aegis killed the Lisk, they couldn't find the body of one of their most powerful members, Letitia Lisk. They assumed she was dead and never bothered to look for her. We know Letitia had met Noah and Selena in a previous event. Perhaps Jestel does have a surviving family member after all. So what happens when you run off to beat the bad guy who killed your family, only to find out your family was just as awful? Would you have preferred not to know and keep what memories you had? Or would you want to know, yet never get to ask them why?